Hello and welcome back to Avowed. We are following an expedition into these caves and ruins, which we know is going to lead us to a temple of Aethys, where we're going to meet one of the few other godlikes that people know who is still around in these lands, and he's been building some sort of statue. So we basically need to figure out what's going on here. So I'm going to start by exploring this, seeing if we can find anything like that loot, and then yeah, seeing if we can speak to this guy, see if he will talk to us. Figure out how we want to get there. Is it just through here? It is just through here.
Kid. Glad we could give him a hand. Now, to be honest, girls will too.
He's gonna have a hard time getting out of here, but at least we gave him a fighting chance.
So, the kid said the expedition team went deeper, looking for the Oracle.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine the Oracle had something to do with that creepy statue we saw before. Maybe we should take a look.
Creepy, yeah, I'll say, so the creepy statue we saw across the chasm. Yeah, that makes sense. History of the Living Land's origin. The Living Lands do not exist. But certainly there is an island, certainly there are valleys, there are rivers, lakes, and mountains, there are trees and fungi in abundance. Taken together, do these not constitute the Living Lands? I will concede that they constitute the description of a continent, and that that continent lies north of the equator, and that this continent is equidistant from Edir and Rautai. I will concede that this continent is real, so long as you and I walk upon it. We call this island the Living Lands, but the Living Lands is merely a descriptor of its attributes. A list of attributes does not alone make up a place. I believe that for a place to become real, it must have a name. For a name to be real, it must have a history. History confers meaning, and meaning is given to a name by its namer. But the Living Lands cannot be this island's name because I have travelled its breadth, climbed its peaks, and delved its countless depths, and have discovered that the Living Lands has no namer at all. Unless the words we use to describe this continent, the Living Lands, were given to us by the godless, unless these words have a meaning that only they could comprehend, unless these words have a history only they could know, and the hiacity of the thisness of this place was lost with them. It's an interesting thought that this land could be named for a particular reason by the godless. I assumed it was Living Lands because it's filled with life, but maybe there's another purpose to it. I mean, I guess we think that we are the... That's the wrong button. We think that we are gods based upon our godlike... we think that the god that we are a godlike of is some kind of nature-y type god. Maybe there is... some nature-y type reason it's called the Living Lands.
Quiet, dude.
Drop. Staying at the side. Only one Zurut, but we don't want to alert them all. One's heading past here, I think. It's above us. Ah. Yeah, there's one up there. Is it going to peer out across here at us? That'd be very bad. Hit it. Oh, it looks like if I shoot that higher, it will actually hit things a little bit more consistently. That's interesting new tech. So if I shoot that a little bit above what I'm trying to hit, that would work. Huh. Let's just heal. I have a lot of healing potions, so I'm not too worried about using them. And let's climb. Jump. Get the essence from that thing. That's how it got around here. Ah. A couple of health potions and a chest. Grab all that. Jump. Back around here. Ooh. Inquisitor's request. Captain Yeda, the relic you seek is but one of many thorns in the rotten heart of this land. Claim it for Edir, and should its efficacy be confirmed, you will be appropriately rewarded. Inquisitor Ludwin.
Didn't realize the head of the Steel Garrote was into antiques.
Into antiques about other gods, I imagine. Well, I guess it'd be into antiques of Vodica, so I guess they're into antiques of gods. This is very cool. I really like this. The way that this looks with the light going through this area, all the different colors. It's very cool. Don't really have too much more to say about it apart from the fact it's just cool. Thought I heard loot, but then I realized that there's just a drop below us, so it's unlikely there's loot there.
I see someone. Be ready for anything.
Now, in theory, this is optional. I guess the optional part is you could just sneak around him and not speak to him, but we're obviously going to speak to him. Let's put away our weapon. Let's not act like we're here to fight. Oh, he's golden.
Can it be?
Wait a second.
Stand in the light. Let me look at you.
The name at the bottom, this is definitely the guy who was getting that person to bring him animancy experiment stuff, which I guess, you know, we could have also seen by just looking around. Hello.
It has been too long. I had feared I was the last of us, but you... Oh, the very sight of you is a balm for the soul. I am the Oracle Sargamis, servant of the once shining god, he whose light has lately dimmed. What brings you to this sacred space?
Aethys is, of course, the once shining god. You named yourself after one of the early figures in the Eothian scripture? Oh! So he was that person that we saw in the book, as in he was the same name as in the book. Now, are we going to find out that he was that person, or that he simply named himself after them? But let's ask. You named yourself after one of the early figures in the Eothian scripture?
Then Sargamis spoke, and his voice swept forth with the heat and force of the bright day's sun. Weep not, for the child of light has forgiveness even for you, if you will embrace him. I am that same Sargamis. Though it has been some time since a man has knelt before me and begged absolution, as Harmka did. The people do not hold to the gods any longer, and they do not hold to their servants. We live in a time of disbelief. The gods are absent, and have recalled their gifts from the world. Avarice reigns. Acquisition is the faith to which all men bow. But perhaps there is hope. You have read the Book of Verses, and we are here together, if only briefly. In this moment, we are not entirely alone.
Did you build this statue?
Indeed. It has been my obsession these last few years. Hewn by my own hands from stone in Ardra, and no small degree of melancholy. I suspect it will be my last great labor before this body is returned to the earth, and I am returned to my god.
Are you dying?
If I am, it is from an affliction that death will not cure. But no, brother. I am only very old. My light is waning. As Aethys' essence leaves the world, I am leaving with him. His essence has kept me alive for centuries, and soon we will enter the longest night.
You mentioned you're very old.
Indeed, my soul has dwelled in this form for centuries, beyond even the lifespan of the longest-lived elf. My lord Aethys inspired my birth in the same year the kingdom of Adir was founded. You might say my birth heralded the empire you now serve.
But that was over 600 years ago.
About 630, yes. Give or take a decade. One does lose count.
He could answer many questions that people have, like, how did things really go down at the time? Although, if he's been in this cave most of the time, maybe he wouldn't know. But he must have witnessed some unbelievable things.
Many, yes. Some that inspired awe, others dread. For a time, I proselytized among the colonists who first settled Glanfath. I held the door of my parish church against an onslaught of Glanfathan raiders, and I watched them fall prostrate before my light. I tended the wounded in the Broken Stone War, the War of Black Trees, the War of Defiance, and in many wars that were never given the dignity of a name, and since have been forgotten. I can hardly recall them anymore.
Did you ever meet Saint Waidwin?
Is that what they're calling him now? I heard the man that was Waidwin speak when he was but a farmer. He had a presence even then, furious, incandescent. It was astonishing, his power. I wonder, had my lord already made a home in his body by then? Did my lord share with Waidwin his plans to wage a pointless, bloody war while wearing the poor man's face? What a grave injustice. To have your body stolen and be made into a saint. Tragic Waidwin. Pitiable Waidwin. I grieve for what became of him.
So that... Well, one, our question at the top that we've got here, but two, do we get the feeling that Sargamis doesn't entirely agree with the actions of the god that he follows? You wish it had been you who had been made a saint?
God help me. I do.
You spent a long time in the Deerwood. What made you stay?
The Deerwood has been a troubled place since the very moment of its inception. Conflicts erupted as regularly as spring flowers, to bloom and die as swiftly. So, there is always some dark corner in need of light, if you'll indulge me in the metaphor. Truthfully, I had been jailed for proselytizing in Culplin, and it was to the colonies I was exiled. So it was the Deerwood or death. I had nowhere else to go.
So, why haven't you died yet? He said it was because of Aethys' essence, but let's see.
That is a question for my lord. I have asked him many times, but even when he spoke to me, he would not say. I suspect it is his essence that has kept me alive, and now that he has abandoned this world, well, I soon expect to die.
Aethys talked to you?
In prayer, in dreams, as I ate and loved and labored, his voice was a constant murmuring in my ear. But when I spoke to him, he never did reply. So, do not mistake his talking for a conversation. He only wanted to be heard.
Are you afraid to die?
Not anymore.
Why would you tell me all this?
Because you are my brother, and I want someone to know.
Fair enough. Let's say a really stupid thing at this point, given that we've already had all that conversation. You're really a godlike.
I am as you are, though I do not care for the word. Aethys the Dawn Treader is my lord and patron. If you will forgive me saying so, I am surprised to meet you here. Even before the vanishing of our kind, it had been some years since a child of Galawain came to speak with me. And I have never seen a member of the Lord of the Hunt's coterie whose visage resembles yours.
Interesting. I can see why you think that we're a godlike of Galawain, because we are very nature-like and he is very nature-like, but I don't think that we are. That's because I'm not a godlike of Galawain.
Ah, of course. I should not have assumed. I have had the great privilege to speak with thousands of our kind during my long life. And you do not resemble a single one of them. But if not Garlawain, I cannot imagine who else among the Pantheon might have blessed you.
Truthfully, I don't know which god is my patron.
My relationship with my lord has oftentimes been the one succor through difficult seasons of my life. I hope that when you find your patron, it is the same for you. May I ask, as a god's child, did your earthly parents love you?
They revered me. It was different from love. I believe they cared for me in their way. They kept their distance. I think I frightened them. They were ashamed of me. They worried for me ceaselessly, like I felt like a burden to them. Or why? Let's say why.
As I near the end of my life, my attention turns to my earliest days, to my family, my lord, and to love. I wonder if my parents could have loved me better if I had been less like myself and more like them. I wonder if I could have loved them more if I had not so dearly loved my lord. I wonder if that hurt them. I wonder why our holy parents made us as we are. Do we have any freedom in the face of our gods? Did they make us to love them? And if we do so love our gods, why do we not simply kill our bodies to be closer to them? Can we ever be close enough to what we love in them to satisfy our longing? Can we ever get far enough from what we loathe in them to satisfy our disgust? My lord will break my heart so long as I love him. And I will always love him. But I am selfish. I do not want to die heartbroken.
Wow, this guy was right. He does need somebody to talk to. So all these questions going round in his head, and you can see how it was constant, just like, but what of this, what of that? Imagining all the different possibilities of his long, long life. Let's say that they kept their distance, and that we frightened them.
Yes, as it was with me.
Let's do a very stupid thing. I heard there was a temple of Aethys in this cave.
Be welcome, for you have found it. People like you and I once sought this place in moments of spiritual turmoil, when the world and our souls could not find rest. Moments of war, famine, massacres, when those such as us are called upon to speak the gods' wills and to lead. But I have seen not one of us these last 3 years, and it is rare indeed that pilgrims come to pray. Perhaps our meeting now is the work of immortal hands. I pray that it is so.
Why would godlikes visit this temple and not the temple of their patron god? That's a good question.
Godlike. Such a meager word for us, who are the gods' eyes and ears and hearts. We are the phenomena through which the gods experience the world. We are as like the gods as a finger is like a man. You and I and our raptured brethren, we are the gods themselves.
That's all very poetic, but it doesn't answer the question. Is this place special to godlikes?
It had been once, when we were legion, but no longer. Our kind came here to find fellowship and understanding, in a world determined to bend us to its purposes.
So, a group of godlikes came to this place and it was special to them, in a land which contained a group of people called the Godless. That's an interesting coincidence we got here. I've wondered what purpose the Emperor had in naming me his envoy, or why should we need fellowship? Let's say I've wondered what purpose the Emperor had in naming me his envoy.
This is a heavy burden you carry, to be beloved of both a god and a god among men. I imagine one cannot help but wonder, did he elevate you for your skills and knowledge, your strengths, your accomplishments, or for what you are? You and I are instruments of a divine will. In choosing you to be his envoy, your emperor ennobles his purpose and tarnishes yours.
Ooh, okay. I was also thinking when he said that we are the gods, right? He's effectively elevating himself to an almost equal level with Aethys. There seems to be a level of pride about him, with him wishing he had been named the saint. Almost, I would say, with him believing he's on the same level as the gods, believing that he should have been named the saint. There's definitely a level of pride, and whether it's deserved or not is up to interpretation. Let's say, why did the gods vanish godlikes from the world? It's a good question.
There are many theories, which the holy and learned of Eora have only just begun to argue. But you did not ask me for theories. Frankly, I do not know for certain. However, I believe the gods are preparing for war.
A war against each other?
A war of all against all. A struggle between destiny and design. Who yokes the soul of the world? Whose machinations turn the wheel? Who acts, and whom is acted upon? That is the ultimate power, brother. The only power there is, to decide the fate of another, and to make it so. For so long as we have lived, it is the gods who have decided for us. But change is possible, if we are brave enough to want it. And Kith have lately grown very brave indeed.
Now that seems like he's talking about the Watcher from the Pillars games. It definitely seems like this. This is definitely suggesting that the Kith have grown brave and they're questioning the gods. Very, very much like some of the I'm trying to think the right word. Some of the themes of Pillars, I would say. I don't know if they're going to expand upon it in this game. It feels, to me, so far, like this game is just a step down. Not in terms of like quality or anything, but like a step down in terms of what level we're dealing with here. So, in Pillars, you're dealing with a very large level. You're dealing with high-level things. You're dealing with questions of reality and existence and gods, and you are very much in there and about them. In this game so far, we're dealing with more mundane problems. Sure, we're dealing with a plague that may be related to our specific god, which may be related to more things on this island, but it's all at a lower down level. Almost, actually, interestingly, it's a perspective shift, right? We are now seeing the world from an individual's perspective, while previously we were seeing the world from above. It's almost, like the perspective shift is also like that we've had from top down to first person, is also happening in the narrative, at least from my point of view. Anyway, I've been hearing a voice in my head since I arrived on the island. Could it be my god?
I suppose it's not impossible, but the gods typically make themselves known to us in our earliest days, before we have left the comfort of the womb. They are present in our hearts and mind before we even have a notion of I at all. I am sorry. Yours is an unusual case. Tell me, this voice in your head, do you want it to be your god?
It'd be a relief to finally know who I am. I want to know I'm not going mad. If it's not my god, I don't know what else it could be. Or it doesn't matter. We're going to assume that we are not mad. I think we are also a little bit prideful, and we would not believe that. But we are not going to say that it would be a relief. We simply do not know what else it could be.
Other than a symptom of madness, you mean? You do not seem especially troubled. No more than any kith subject to life's uncertainties. As to what the voice is, if it is unlikely to be a god, I cannot say. It may be a particularly powerful soul attempting to control you, or the echoes of a past life. Perhaps it is the sending of an archmage, or some ancient construct of Engwithan make. Or it may just be the beginnings of the Dream Scourge. Whatever this voice is, I suspect only an expert in souls can say.
A watcher, you're saying? Also, he knows about the Dream Scourge. I'm looking for an expert. I guess everyone knows about it, but what I'm meaning is he was talking about it like it's a thing that he knows something a little bit more about. I'm looking for an expedition of my countrymen. Did they pass this way?
An expedition? I'm afraid I don't understand.
Right. Maps, ropes, pitons, rugged boots, water for days, people down here looking for stuff.
I am familiar with the concept, tomb raiding and the like. What troubles me is why they would come here. These ruins are not so different from the many others on this island, except that they are a good deal more treacherous. And this representation of Aethys we stand before, it is the work of my own hands. They could not hope to move it. Do you know what their purpose is here?
I do. But do you really expect me to believe you haven't seen them? There's only one way through this place.
It's a reasonable question, I'll grant you. You must understand, this place has seen so few visitors for so long that I often retreat into my private quarters. To read, you understand, or pray, or sleep. Age has made me slow. I tire easily. I sleep now more hours than I wake. They could have already come and gone, and I would be none the wiser. In any case, you haven't told me what it was they searched for. Or do you not know?
Do we lie or tell the truth? I think we tell the truth. One, because he's a fellow godlike and he should know. But two, I don't think that we would see any reason to lie in general. If somebody disagrees, we would simply say that we are a representative of the Emperor, and they will do as we say. It doesn't matter if they know what we're trying to do, we will do it anyway. So they were searching for a relic you're rumored to keep here.
Ah, the splinter of Aethys. I suppose it was too much to hope they were here to examine these exquisite ruins. Truly, it is their loss.
What is this relic exactly?
The splinter of Aethys is a sliver of shinbone from my lord's titan body. It was carved from his skeleton many centuries ago. Yet long after the gods left this mortal world to claim their dominion in the beyond, the splinter is infused with the very essence of my lord's power, to illuminate without fire, to heal without injury, and to speak without voice.
Where do you keep the relic? I might find them there.
It rests in a shrine deep within this temple complex, beyond the reach of looters, visitors, or indeed, myself. The path to the relic has fallen to ruin. Some sections are flooded, and others are infested with all manner of creatures. Although, perhaps you might assist me with that.
Right. Here it comes.
You see, this construction beside us is no mere statue. but a reliquary I have built to house the splinter of Aethys in its appropriate grandeur. It is nearly complete, and ready for the splinter to be interred. But I can no longer reach the relic on my own. Return it to me, and who knows, perhaps you will meet your expedition along the way.
I'll return shortly.
I am most grateful. Oh, and please refrain from touching my statue or devices. May light illuminate your path, brother.
Wow, okay. Got a lot of stuff there. Retrieve the relic is optional for this quest. Cool. Well, I do want to have a little look around. Don't quite want to leave yet. But we'll do a little poking around. Where does this take us? Onshore. Oh. Interesting. So it's a quick way back up again. Huh. Now, you may have recognized the voice of that guy there. And I did as well.
Leave those be. They protect my devices.
Oh. But, yeah. I recognized this guy's voice. And I was, like, it was bugging me. Because, you know, he's bald, he's an elf. I was kind of thinking, like, he might have been a certain elf from another series that we played recently. He wasn't. He is, of course, Matthew Mercer. Which is how I recognized it. Who, I believe, played a character in Pillars as well. Which is probably more where I got the connection from in my head. But, yeah, it was definitely bugging me. I was like, who is this guy? For a while. Anyway. Missing splinter of Aethys. Right. Grab those. Sargamis's journal. 2828. Perestu. He is gone, but he is still with me. So this was when Aethys, like this is the same year as the other journal we found, basically. What form should a reliquary take that it is fit to hold the splinter? Were I in high crown still, I would petition the church for ivory, gems, and gold. For this remnant of his holy body is worth all the wealth of the empire and more. Being as I am sequestered here, I will make do, instead with the wealth of the land. Granite from the tallest peaks, clay from the fertile riverbeds, and trunks from the most aged trees. I must work without ceasing until it is done. Memory of my lord cannot endure delay. 2828. Terestu. He is beginning to take shape. I thought at first a sanctuary would be appropriate, a temple within this temple of the godless. But when I prayed over my plans for the building's construction, I received a vision of Aethys' Titan as it existed in its time. A body of strange flesh and bone, hundreds of feet tall, astride the land with a pantheon at his side, facing down the forces of chaos like 11 colossal ships of the line. What crisis manifested them and inspired them to act? I know not, but I shall remake him as he was in my own fashion. 2829. Magia Iverno. He is complete. But the statue I have made is inert, lifeless, dull. The work of my hands does not dignify the splinter. There is something deficient in it, and in me. I must destroy it and begin again. 2829. In Prima. He is made anew. His effigy is formed from granite, clay, and wood still, but they shelter now a precious Adra core. It glimmers even in the low light of this cavern's ceaseless evenings. He brings the dawn to this penumbral place, as the light of his attention once brought to my soul. In the Empire they celebrate spring dawn today, or they would have prior to the Saints' War. I wonder, what of him remains in the beyond after his disillusion at Kaizo, or Ukaizo? I long to be with him again. 2829. Preprima. What if I did not have to wonder? So he wants to reunite with Aethys, and that's why he's making the statue. Alright. Nothing here we need to look at. There is an area to... Oh, we can jump over here. Takes us around the back. I don't know if there's anything to look at here. Definitely hear another, like, wobbling sound. I think it's these. These things there I can hear. Got a health pot. Nothing there. That almost looks like something, but I don't think it is. Ooh. What is this? It's obviously another path, but more correctly, where does this go? I think is more what I wanted to ask. There's an area down from there. Just a hit for now. Over this way. Climb up there. Continue climbing. Essence potion and purple chest. I'll have that. That takes you back down again. History of the Living Lands 2, Lacuna. What are we to make of the absence of the Iguithans from the Living Lands? I think often of the 100 years I spent in the Eastern Reach. In all my time there, never once were the ruins of Engwith out of my sight. A trio of their standing stones loomed from the peak of a nearby hill through my bedroom window, and the long shadows of their machines fell every day over my church. The roads we trod were their roads, and the walls that divided our land were their walls. Their temples became our markets, our fields were littered with their tools. No mountain, no river, no forest could stop their building, and with their technology they mastered the world. The Iguithans laid the foundation of Eora. We, the living, are merely the skin atop their bones. But they never made it to the Living Lands. How can that be so? That is intriguing. So what caused the Iguithans not to come here? Well, you would assume, given that the Iguithans are tied to the gods, that the godless must be the reason they did not come here. They were specifically... I'm just seeing where this connects to. So that connects to that. So we can charge up the statue if we wanted to. But obviously you're meant to wait till the splinter's there. Right. But yeah, the godless must be specifically we are not following these false gods kind of godless. Letter to Sargamis. Sargamis, it's been some time since your last correspondence, and I do hope you are still well. Have the materials and spare equipment for my lab proven reliable? You know how temperamental and finicky old equipment gets. I swear these machines have have souls of their own. But I digress. I look forward to hearing the latest news about your progress. I have no doubt that the completion of your project will change the world, and knowing you it will certainly be for the better. That I have a part to play in this fills me with a deep joy and satisfaction. Perhaps one day they shall write about us. I can see it now. The Oracle and the Visionary. A titillating tale of two thinkers and their thoroughly thought-provoking theories. On second thought, perhaps simply the Oracle and the Visionary will suffice. Eagerly awaiting your response, your friend Viter. P.S. It's good I forgot to send this after it dried. Ulrask would be very cross with me if I did not relay once more that he is, and I quote, rather looking forward to giving Sargamis's oversized animat a proper thrashing if he ever gets it functional. Oh, that Ulrask. Until next time, my friend. A thrashing? Is he trying to bring this to life properly? You can press a switch. He probably does not want us to press a switch. I would imagine that he very much does not want us to do that. Oh. I was thinking I could hear loot. This goes around here. Next back in this way. And that's everything over here. I think, maybe? Yeah, I think that's everything in here. Well, this is really cool. Another chunk of lore. Another pretty big chunk of lore to do with this guy. Also, with meta knowledge of knowing that he's voiced by Matthew Mercer, I do wonder whether he potentially is a companion. In my head, I'm like, he's got enough oomph to be one. He did give us a lot of lore up front, though, which sometimes would suggest that he wouldn't be. Like, potentially if he was going to give us that much lore, he would be somebody that we merely, like, talk to in camp. But he gave it to us up front, so I don't know, I'm 50-50. But he's definitely intriguing. That much is certain. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.